Hi, y'all. Welcome to Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Brandon, I'm going to move this real quick so I don't mess you up with this. All right. I'm done with it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because if I leave it right there, you're going to be cursing me. And I have plenty of people to curse me. I don't need to pay somebody to curse me. It's amazing what the truth does to people. Anyway, great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. All right, Secretary of State's race starting to heat up. Kyle Arndwine, the interim Secretary of State right now, is on the line with us. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm great, Moon. How are you?
I'm doing superb, man. It's another day. That means another opportunity.
Amen, brother.
All right, Kyle, real quick, I want to talk a little bit about this. They had a story the other day talking about the voting machines and their bids and all that stuff. By the way, this is just me now. This is going kind of around you. I think this thing goes out to bid every 10 years. Am I correct by saying that?
10, 15, or 20 years.
Okay, but I remember one of the last times they did this, the people that didn't get the bid tripped out back then, too, and they had something similar to this going on, and I'm going, what really happened? Anyway, just your comments on it, because I know nobody knows the truth. Nobody knows what went on, if anything went on, but yet the press and the media jumps in, and they even had a story hitting you, bad timing and all. I'm going, hold up just a second. What happened? So just real quick, did anything happen or is somebody sour grapes, or what's going on?
Well, there's always going to be sour grapes, Moon, when three bidders are out there and only one's going to get it, and so that one company's thrilled and the other two are upset about it. And you're absolutely correct. The last time this went out for a bid, major bid, a company did protest all the way as far as they could in order to try to get. This is the most contentious and competitive arena to be in when you go out for RFP, because it takes so long. You know, we're talking about major acquisitions here. And so when you go in 10, 15, or 20 years, there's a lot of competition and very few companies, about 5 total out there that could have bid on this, and only 3 did. So I feel comfortable where we are. We're doing the right thing for the people. And look, I mean, here's the strange thing. The media's beating me up on this, so I must be doing something right. But they never talk about when I'm fighting Eric Holder, who's suing me over the congressional plans. They never talk about George Soros's money getting into the system and suing us for trying to get the voter data. It's unreal to me how the media plays this out.
I wanted to ask you a question because I was doing a little reading, and I remember Eric Holder, who was Attorney General of the United States of America, going after Louisiana. Talk a little bit about why was Holder going after us? And Soros is definitely involved. I got a feeling he's behind Julie Stokes. That's another question. But I'm just saying, talk a little bit about that, because that is big, that Holder went after the state of Louisiana.
Oh, no doubt. He sued me. He funneled money into the state to file a lawsuit against me on the Louisiana's congressional plan, talking about packing the districts with minority voters or cracking. I didn't even know you could pack and crack at the same time. I think they may be smoking a little crack out there, but the reality is that it's a political agenda, a liberal political agenda, to try to change the United States Congress from conservative to liberal, and that's what they want to do here in Louisiana, to grow from red districts to purple districts to elect more liberals.
What is the status with that right now? Is that still ongoing? Is that over?
It is ongoing, yes.
Who took it up now? I mean, Holder did this not as an attorney general. He's done it as a private lawyer, correct?
Correct. Correct. Okay. He got a law firm here in Baton Rouge to handle the case for him, and he put out a big press release that they were suing Louisiana, Alabama, and Georgia all at the same time, and they were very proud about that.
Well, what is their? And I want to get to this again. What was their beef? What do they think we doing wrong that they could come in and do a suit? I mean, what are they trying to do? They're trying to make it where certain people can't vote and certain people can vote twice. I mean, I'm just curious.
I guess he's got Attorney General remorse. You know, he signed off on this plan that we currently are under some years back. He and the chairman of the National Democratic Party, Perez, was in Justice Department with him at the time. They just want to see more liberal districts. I mean, their goal is to, instead of creating majority-minority districts where they can, they want to splinter that and create liberal versus conservative districts. It's a political ploy.
Yeah, and I want people to notice we're going to have, and this is why I think we'll have a new governor. This is my comments, not yours. But In 2020, we do the census, and the next year we're doing redistricting. So when we go to redistrict, the Secretary of State, how does the Secretary of State office play into the redistricting?
We only implement the plans. We provide some of the numbers to the legislature, and then the legislature implements, designs the plans and passes the plans, and then the Secretary of State works with the Registrar of Voters and the Clerks of Court to implement the plans.
Okay. So, but they go after the Secretary of State because you're kind of an umbrella for everything that's happening.
Yeah, and because we hold the elections, so they're hoping to stop the elections, which I don't see happening.
Yeah. So that was my last question. What is their goal?
Their goal is to take control of Congress. Liberal.
But you're not gonna have a big change over in Louisiana. I hadn't looked at the numbers because the census numbers are not in. Of course, 2020 is when they'll count and all that stuff. Any chance we lose another congressman? I mean, we lost 2 in the last 20 years, and I'm just worried about that because our migration still continues to be a problem here.
I worry about that as well. I think that is a concern that needs to be on the table for everybody when looking at these issues. It depends on the amount of growth in other parts of the country as to whether or not we end up losing another congressional seat.
Yeah, well, you've had growth in other places, and that's what bothers me. We have growth, but it's a lot smaller than everybody else, and that means that, I'm just concerned. Now, if we get by this one, then we got the next 10 years to be concerned about. And so that to me was real important. Now, Secretary of State, you kind of oversee businesses cranking up as well. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What is there anything you can change, or is all legislature and the governor that's got to change anything that happens in that department?
Well, we enacted the Go Biz portal. I led the committee to do that and have been staying on top of it, where we cut the red tape. We combined workforce and revenue and our office in order to collect all the information. We've implemented online filing to make it easier for businesses. We have a telecommunications system now where people can chat with our office, don't have to get on the phone. They can chat from their computers in order to try to make their filings. But also, one thing I want to do is take it to the next level for those young entrepreneurs and those individuals who want to create their own businesses. I want to implement a process where we are able to map out the economy of small businesses around the state. Where if you want to open up a snowball stand, you go to your area and you see, well, there's already 5 snowball stands, so maybe I want to open up an ice cream store kind of thing. Sure. So it's a really neat thing I saw with Mississippi, and I want to try to replicate that because small businesses are good job creators for our state.
Oh, no doubt about it. By the way, we're talking to Secretary of State Kyle Aldwine, and of course he is running for office, election in November, runoff in December. Is there anything you can do specific, or you basically most of the stuff that comes through your office has to be passed through the legislature or the governor's office?
Most of it has to be passed through the legislature. There are some things that we can do with regard to implementation of policy, and I think that's the key, where you want a steady hand with experience in implementing policies and procedures with our elections process or with our business operations. And so I think, a steady hand is always good at the helm, and as Ronald Reagan said, why would you change horses in midstreams when things are really working well?
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's interesting. And there's just a lot of things y'all do as Secretary of State. I don't think people realize what goes on in that office. There's just a lot of stuff, from voting just being one of many things, which is by far the most important thing. Now, let me ask a question. If a contract for new machines, is that new machines for this election, or is it new machines for another election?
It'll be our hope is to be able to start implementing in the spring election. It's too close to this election because the machines we'll be moving to will be the early voting machines. So we'll have to do some training of commissioners and registrars and clerks, and so we want to make sure when we roll it out, we roll it out with precision.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, then, so when is that? The next election for the governor's race?
Actually, it'll be in the spring, in the March-April election.
Okay. So that is in the spring. You expect to get these machines when?
Well, we start negotiations this week, so we'll see how that rolls out. So probably towards the later part of the year, we'll get them. Probably around December, we'll get the machines.
All right. As far as the
which is when the election is.
As far as the campaign going, what's going on in your campaign? How can people get in touch with you?
People can go to www.keepkylesos.com, and they can sign up to participate in our campaign and donate if they want. We look forward to everybody participating in a good, robust campaign.
Well, you do believe this is, because of the number of people, you do believe this is probably a election that's a runoff election, correct?
Absolutely. I think this won't be settled until December 8th.
Yeah, what are you, real quick, maybe you can give us this number, maybe not. With I know we got congressional races, there's some local races. Do you think this election will have 20% turnout? You think it would be that high?
I think with the congressional election, I think we're estimating at this point, and we'll have to gauge what the interest is as we move along, but we're estimating right now in the range of 28%.
Okay. Boy, I tell you what.
At least we hope,
Yeah, I know. The thing about it is I hate to say 20 and 28% sounds good, but you could have some areas, if you don't have anything else going on, that people don't show up.
That's absolutely correct. Or if they take it, to granted, then, it could be much, much lower than that.
Yeah, I'm going to be surprised if it's that high, but I know y'all normally give those numbers out as we get a little closer, so I'm curious to see as we get closer what numbers will come out.
We'll be happy to work with you on that for sure.
All right, Kyle, good luck.
Thank you, Moon. Appreciate you.
All right. Let it be, let it be, let it be. They were talking about putting me out there to sing a little karaoke with Rob and Digital. And the one of them said they want me to sing. You realize Mike Grimley said I couldn't sing? Can you believe a man would even say something like that?
The man is honest.
You don't think he'd be the only one to say that, huh?
No, I don't.
My emails are not lit up with please sing more. I've never got an email like that. Anyway, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Well. This is for Bell Edwards and the sycophants in the media. A new report out. Okay. These are the best and worst states of middle-class America. New study from geobanking rates searches found South Dakota is the best place for middle-class individuals to live. So they had a top 10 for the best places for middle-class people to live and the worst places. And so I did the positive thing. I went to the best states. I'm going to say, well, let's see where we rank. And, I couldn't find them up there at the top. I couldn't find Louisiana in the middle. But I kept working my way toward the bottom. And I found us. So they name the best states to live. This is for middle-class America. This is what most people are. Okay? South Dakota, Iowa, Florida, Wyoming, Mississippi, Nebraska, West Virginia, North Dakota, Washington, and Idaho. Middle class. This is when you want things to be fair and you middle class living, which I make. I'm going to say Brandon makes. Most people listen to this program are middle class. Matter of fact, probably 98% of the people that listen to this program are middle class. So I'm talking to you. So I just, it's a Go Banking Rates study. Examined a bunch of different, range of different factors in order to determine which are the best and worst for middle class, including change in median household income, change in the number of households earning middle class income, college graduate rates, cost of in-state tuition, and median home values, among other factors. So let's go to the bottom. I just said, well, Brandon, if I can't find it's in the middle, and I can't find it's in the top, so I started from the bottom up, and I found this, by the way, pretty quick. Okay, pretty quick. Hawaii was found the worst state for middle-class Americans. Okay? Number 2, Louisiana occupied the second spot on a list of worst states for the country's middle class with a cost of Now listen, some of you people think I'm getting happy about this. This is what I'm fighting against. This is what I want to change. But we can't change it doing the same thing we've been doing for 50, 60 years. And that's why Bell Edwards J. Dawn has been a colossal failure. They've run middle-class jobs out of here. They're bragging about Medicaid creating jobs because they're not creating jobs. And we got an out-migration problem because of that. But some of the bickering By the way, it's David Calico called. Thinking of bickering. Calico's never called to come back on the program.
I hadn't heard
Tell
from
him don't call, though, when they need money. So, you remember how they bickered about higher ed under Bobby Jindal? We just didn't have no money. We just broke, and the colleges were bad. And I've been telling you, said, no, they weren't. You've seen the numbers from the press, who's never fair about anything anymore. Most of them, especially in the print media, is what I'm really focusing on. And they used to tell you, well, higher ed got cut $600 million under Bobby Jindal. I said, no, they didn't. They just raised fees, and they raised tuition, and the private sector paid for it. People that want to go to school. Student loan debt shot up. And everybody said, well, colleges do $600 million. They didn't never get $600 million less. That was all PR stuff for the average person to buy into it. According to this, they said Louisiana occupied the second spot on a list of worst states in the country, middle class, where the cost of in-state college tuition has risen 48% over the last 5 years. You know, Bobby Jindal was governor for half of that. Edwards been there 2.5 years. Jindal's take the other 2.5 years. So 48% over the past 5 years. You want to know why TOPS is being threatened? Self-generated wounds is what we have here, folks. So for a middle-class person, and this is what I've been saying, that middle class has to get the breaks. We got a middle-class tax cut. Bill Edwards took it. $6.3 billion in new taxes. Don't make any sense, folks. Anyway, we're second to last for middle-class people to live. We'll take a break. Be right back. Hi, you all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. By the way, so once again, our state is made up of mostly middle-class people, and we do have some wealthy people. Good for them. And we got a lot of poor because we made it easy to be poor. When they raise the sales taxes, when they try to raise the income taxes, when they raise taxes in general, when you raise taxes locally, you're spanking the middle class to death is what you're doing. You're just spanking them to death. You know, here's another survey showing once again right at the bottom. Matter of fact, they talk about the 48% over the last 5 years in college tuition. I mean, it's whatever you take. If it was 5,000, it's now 9,000, 8,000, or whatever. You know, well, 5,000 now it's 10,000. Well, that's 100%. But 2,500, 7,500. That's a lot of money. Now you want to know why there's so much debt. 48% over the last 5 years. That goes to the college and university. They're crying about not having enough money. You realize our college graduation rate is 32%. 68% of the people that go to college will never graduate. Why are we putting so much money there? I'm just kind of curious. I mean, you know, we don't have to change anything here. We don't get out of stuff like this. That's why it gets me mad when I see Bill Edwards in the media say, well, unemployment's at a 10-year low. Yeah, third highest in the country. Forgot to say that, did you? GDP went negative for 2 years. The only state in the country to go negative for 2 years. We don't change that part of the model. It's taxes, 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 taxes. And the best and brightest will continue to skedaddle out of here, unfortunately. And I hate to see that. But we need a governor who really concentrates on the business community, not the government community. And as long as we're going to concentrate on government, we'll never get off of this. And we hadn't changed one thing. Now, I'm sick of John Kennedy, Landry, and them getting ripped on his prison reform. Bill Edwards the governor goes meet with Donald Trump on prison reform, come see Angola. Kennedy, every time they make a comment, the press is going to respond. And I told y'all this. Here's an AP story. John Kennedy is attacking Louisiana's criminal justice overhaul in a letter to President Trump. He's not attacking. He's stating some facts. We had people that have been murdered because of the program. Because it didn't affect Jim Beam, he didn't write about it in that way. Or Greg Hilburn or somebody else in the news business. It hadn't affected them yet because nobody's killed somebody in their family yet. But we had some murders and some killings. And it's sad. We got a system that the system was based on not having the most people incarcerated. Edwards out of his own mouth. And it was also based on saving money. Okay? Saving money. And guess what? Quarter of people back in jail in less than a year. And we had 2 of them murdered. But Kennedy's being criticized for criticizing the program, and I really believe these elected officials and the legislature that voted for this, once again, voted for something they didn't even know what they were voting for. I've already heard from a couple of them saying, here's what they said we were going to do when we voted for it, and they changed. Bell Edwards and them changed some stuff. I'm not making an excuse for them. I'm just telling you they changed some things. So the press wants to attack Kennedy for standing up and Landry for standing up saying, look, this is not really good what y'all did. But they said it back then before anything happened. All right, so you think it's been a great program. This is, Brandon, did you get this from KNOE News in Monroe?
Oh, no, this is WWL TV.
WWL TV.
Opposite end of the
Well, I know,
state.
but I'm sorry. The story I got now is KNOE News saying that Kennedy attacked the governor. Kennedy didn't attack the governor. He didn't attack Jindal. He challenged him. Listen to this. WWL, listen to this story.
It was just like crazy to everybody.
Darren West's reaction after learning that the man accused of killing his little cousin was released from jail early.
No one could really believe it.
Donnell Brown was arrested on a second-degree murder charge and attempted second-degree murder in a deadly double shooting on Mother's Day. Herbert Foster was killed. A 15-year-old girl was injured.
It's killing me in the inside. I don't know how to deal with it. I can't cope with it.
West says his family wasn't notified about the release. They found out by looking up the information themselves, then spreading the word in a group text.
We can't keep using this word mistake neither. Looking at that particular name, looking at that document number, looking at that case number, you know who you releasing.
In most cases, the district attorney has 60 days to charge a suspect. But in serious felony cases like this one, the DA has 120 days. Brown was released from jail after 62. District Attorney Leon Canizero blames Orleans Parish Magistrate Commissioner Jonathan Friedman, saying he jeopardized public safety by opening the cell of an accused killer. Foster's family just wants the suspect back behind bars.
I mean, just do justice. I mean, get the guy. I don't want to talk negative of them, but they just not doing their job.
And it's affecting your family.
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, you think it's affecting your family? Somebody got killed and somebody got shot. I didn't even know the person had gotten shot. Now, the press, some people in the press are blaming Kennedy for attacking Bell Edwards, who's the one pushed this. That's two murders, not one. And a 15-year-old got shot in the same thing, in the same instant. I mean, come on, folks. I don't care what you say. Now, you got one of the attorney general jumping up and blaming. See, this is where we get into the blame game, but the bill shouldn't have been passed until it was thought out of completely, and it was discussed completely instead of just trying to do what Bell Edwards wanted to do. This is Willie Horton ad. I'm the one called. As a matter of fact, Jeff Correa wrote a piece about the Willie Horton ad the day after I did it, Brandon. This is Willie Horton ad, make it work. It's going to work because it's what happened. You got these people. See, it didn't affect Jim Beam when he was beating up Kennedy and Landry about the justice system. No, it didn't affect him because that was not a friend of his or a family member that got killed. It don't affect old Jim, so Jim supports it. But out of the governor's mouth, well, we're not the most incarcerated place now. And out of elected officials, well, we're saving some money. Really? So you don't care about the person that got killed, that lost a family member, and a 15-year-old got shot? It's okay then. You're trying to justify in a reform system that really is not reform. If you're going to let a murderer out to go murder again, how is that justice reform? And two of them have killed people. Somebody explain that to me. How come lawmakers aren't calling in here saying, well, I voted for it, and this was a good deal? Was it? Because the media, and especially the Advocate, the Times-Picayune, Jim Beam, Crazy Hilburn, these people are all telling us how great this was. And as John Kennedy comes up and says something about it, sends something to Trump, and this is what, the whole story, this is the KNOE story out of Monroe. John Kennedy is attacking Louisiana's criminal. No, he's not. He's bringing up the obvious. Kennedy, a Republican, wanting to run against Democratic Governor Bell Edwards. Yeah, I hope so. I hope somebody's running. Edwards says they're using incorrect data and routinely manipulates information to fit his narrative. Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. John Bell. You just heard the story from WWL from people crying and hollering because they have a family member dead and somebody else hurt, and you're sitting here talking about Kennedy manipulating numbers. This guy was murdered. They were murdered. They had 2 murderers already. That's not manipulating numbers. That's the fact, Jack. I don't understand that. And there's the press, KNOE. You know, they let somebody out, and they let more than one out that shouldn't have been let out. They let one with 51 pages of reports on them, and they let habitual criminals out. I had the Attorney General from Oklahoma that's done this, and they said you do not let habitual criminals out. It's very hard to reform people like that. There's going to be more killings. And I can't believe the press would take up for Bell Edwards. I know you like him. I know you helped get him there. I know you want to keep him. But the fact is they helping him. They looking the other way because it wasn't one of their family members that were killed. It wasn't one of their family members that was shot. So they just saying, so what? We lose a few. This is what the media and the print media says. So we lose a few. So a few people get killed and get shot and get raped. It's for the betterment of the good. It's for making the state better. It's not. When you do it wrong, when you rush something through just to do something, that's what happens. Kennedy's right. Landry's been right. I mean, I'm just telling you, they were right. Quit going after Kennedy. Why don't you challenge the great Governor Oz here, the co-governorship? It's not right. But until one of their family members get killed, they're not going to change their mind. That's what's sad. Other people will lose their family members. Pitiful. We'll take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, Trump, fact, Moon Griffon Show, great to have you with us. Let's jump gears. I love pushing small business, big business on the program. I think it's what we need to do in Louisiana. We need a lot more of it. We try to do it weekly. Chris Rader joins me, Rader Solutions. Y'all hear me brag about him all the time. Everybody has it or IT, depending on what you want to call it.
Correct.
Dave, but if you have IT, you have it.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about it earlier, Moon. Thanks for having me.
No problem. But I thought about that. You guys, and by the way, you guys do a lot of business in Louisiana, always looking for more, but y'all do a lot of business all over the country, really.
Right, yeah.
Talk a little bit about your business, what you do.
So thanks, Moon. Yeah, we are an IT company. We've been in business for 20 years, and we do a tremendous amount of work in Louisiana and elsewhere outside the state, but we're the IT department for companies. What that means is we are their IT person. So we put in the phones, we manage servers, we host servers, telecom, and the main thing, desktops and printers and anything that touches a network. But the main thing, Moon, is security.
Yeah, I was about to say now let's go back. You do all this for companies. You're not a guy that's fixing the computer. I just want to tell people that.
Right.
Not that you don't do that with the companies you work with, but your job is to take really companies, no matter what size, and work with them and become the IT company. It's really what you're looking for. You want to do that so that all they got to do is go do their job, and they never worry about the IT part of it because that's y'all.
Correct. You nailed it.
Yep.
That's exactly
that's
correct.
It's pretty simple, though.
Well,
I say it's pretty simple. It's simple for you because you're good at what you do.
Well, it's simple in a way because we've been doing it for so long, and we set up everything as simple as we can. And a lot of this equipment doesn't play well together. I'm using an example where we get a new client, and they have all this equipment: firewall, switches, PCs, servers, remote locations in different time zones or locally, and everything doesn't exactly work together, including versions of software. Yeah. So what we do is we break it down and simplify it, and we put it in our infrastructure, and it works. 24 hours a day.
Let me take it to make sure we're correct. You take the whole IT job from any company and
correct.
Do it for them. You don't have a problem with it. By the way, I've gone to Chris's place. I've seen the young people. I told you that last time. I love to watch all these young people that really know all about computers and all the stuff that we're talking about. But that's one thing you do. You do the whole thing. And I suggest people do that, and that's what you're looking for.
Right. And we put ourselves in that customer's shoes. Like, what can we do on IT so they're not down, they are secure, so that they can run their business and allow it to grow? And that's the way we think when we're on the phone with them.
The second way you're doing this, and I'm just guessing on this, I want you to explain. Somebody may have an IT department, but they really always need help. Can y'all come in and help somebody that still want to run the IT department, but you guys can kind of take over and be kind of their watchdog and help them?
Yes, that's a great point, Moon. I'm glad you brought that up.
Brandon told me to ask you this.
Brandon, hey, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that.
Brandon's over there thinking about the next bit of food that's going to come through.
I'm surprised he had time to say anything with all that food going in his mouth.
Let's go next thing. Right. I'm interrupted, but I mean, can't we have fun here?
Right. So some companies, they have a person on staff that has tribal knowledge. They know what products they make or services they deliver, and they've morphed into the IT department, and they don't have the knowledge to run IT. But they know about the business, they know the customers, they know the vendors. So they want to keep those people, and they're of value. But this whole IT thing is getting to be rather large, and one person can't manage it. You need a database expert, a telecom expert, a security expert, an email expert.
Y'all do.
Right. We have experts. We have all those experts in those areas, and it's like a symphony every day.
Okay. So that's the two type customers. No customer too small or big, or you're looking for a certain...
At least 5 users or 10 users. Okay. But 20 is a good size, but we'll help them all. And if we can't, we'll let them know up front so we don't waste their time.
Well, I know you can be honest. I've been around Chris a few times. One thing about it, he doesn't mind being honest. And let's talk about one of the things you brought up early. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, which I think, besides doing everything y'all do that's important, the security of people's business, I don't care who you are, becomes the most important thing. After they run it right, they want it to be secure. Talk a little bit about that, Chris, because you made a big deal when you walked in, and I've heard you talk about security.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. If you have a house, you may have termites and not know it. And there's a lot of networks out there that are not secure, and people don't know it. They don't know it till a future date until there's a breach. In the last couple of months, I've received emails from people that we don't do IT for, and they've sent me viruses and other spam email that comes from their accounts, and that's because they're not secure. Or you hear of a company, they're down and they've been down all day and nobody could work.
Boy, that's tough.
That's not acceptable today, Moon. So what we're doing is we're constantly 24 hours a day, we're managing this security. We're using human intelligence. We're using software. We're using some of the best protocols out there. We're constantly training our people. We spend a lot of time keeping our skill level up for our people.
Somebody's trying to break into somebody's system or trying to send a virus or whatever. That's where you guys really are really good.
Yeah, that's where we excel.
Yeah.
And we get better and they get better. We get better, they get better. We get better, they get better. But I challenge someone to look in the headlines of the news today and find companies that are not being hacked.
No, you can't. That's what I'm saying. That's why when you brought it up, I thought, wow, we read about it all the time. And it's not just the Russians doing it.
That's right. And with Fond and Moon, picture this, if you will. We have all this security in place and all this infrastructure, and we've put an emphasis in the last couple of years on training those employees of those companies and having webinars and seminars to get their skill level up, because I can't stop someone from sitting on an airplane and giving someone a password.
Yeah.
That's my example.
Good point. Chris, the other thing is, you mentioned security, but one of the things y'all do well that by talking to you and talking to some of your employees, y'all do very well working with these companies. Y'all become an arm of a company. In other words, I'm company KPEL, and it's a big company, right. And now y'all part of it, y'all the IT part of it,
right?
But you work really close with the owners and the people that work in the company. Even though you're doing IT stuff and you think nobody knows what you're doing, you really are working really close with the managers, the owners, and the people that work in it. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're strong technically, as you know, and we're very strong there, and we have some really good people. But what's important is we understand the business side of the business. And a lot of our people are mechanics. They know how to fix computers and manage things. But when it comes to the business side, we have enough emotional intelligence. We haven't used that term in a couple of years to understand what they're going through. And I said earlier,
the word intelligence hadn't been used on my program. Emotion has, but not intelligence.
Right. Yeah, but and that's important, because the worst thing a CEO of a company wants to do is let someone else manage their IT. Their people can't work. They call an IT company that doesn't answer the phone. Oh, yeah. They have a security breach because they're not taking care of it. They're getting ready to open up a new location. They have an acquisition. They've got to get financials out for a bank, and they can't do it because their IT is not working.
Okay. One of the things we hadn't talked about, what type? Are there a certain type of companies that you're working with, like banks or warehouses, medical profession, professional athletes, universities? Talk a little bit about who you're working with.
Okay, so up until probably 2007, we only worked with people in the construction supply industry because of my background.
But that was your niche.
That was our niche, and that's interesting because most of those companies weren't based in Louisiana, so that's how we learned how to support people remotely. But today, more than half, and quite a bit more than half of our business is in the Louisiana market.
Yeah.
Okay, and those range from accounting to law to manufacturing, engineering, medical. Oil and gas, government. Yes, we have some government also, and I did say manufacturing also.
You did at the beginning. I mean, that's one of the things you used to do. But you do really. There's really not anybody that's listening to today that probably couldn't use you.
Right, and I'm going to give you a real world example. On Friday of this week, we have a customer that had a plasma cutter, and that's a big part of their operation, and it's a legacy product, but they depended on it to generate tremendous amount of revenue for them. This is manufacturing specifically. And we were able to figure out how to jumpstart that machine because we managed the network. And it had been down for, I don't know if it was a couple of weeks or a month, and the manufacturer couldn't figure it out. And that's because we had someone who understood their business because we worked so close with them to jumpstart them. So that was a win.
No doubt about it. Real quick, give out your website. People can go see it.
www.radersolutions. That's RADER solutions.com.
Real simple, folks. And these guys know what they're doing. I'm telling you. I've been through that, Brandon. Hey, Brandon, I was the dumbest one in there when I walked in. Don't answer that, Brandon. Don't answer that. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Moon.
All right,
Thanks,
we'll do it
Brandon.
again. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Hey, Brandon, when you look at a guy like Chris Rader that comes in here, and I love bragging about Louisiana businesses that hang in there and are successful, does he not act like a guy that knows what he's doing?
You're absolutely right. I mean, he really does know what he's doing, and incredibly, incredibly competent.
Yeah, no doubt.
The reason why his company's been so successful.
And it has been. It's not only here, but in the state. Rated Solutions. I highly recommend. Look, if you're looking for an IT department or you're looking to team up with one, you ought to do it with them because he'll let you take you through. When you walk through his building, Brandon, and you heard me say this to him, and I knew you hadn't been there yet, but it's impressive young people like you. And I'm giving you a compliment, but really, I'm not. No joke this time. No joke this time. Really, like you. In other words, they're in there. They're dedicated. They're working. They're smart. They really are getting after it for the people that they represent. Mm-hmm. I was impressed. I hadn't been through many IT departments. They usually keep me away from those. Yeah. Chris actually invited me and brought me through the organization, and I watched people just working their butts off, and it was unique because most of the people, not all, but a lot of the people that were working there were really young. And
they don't just work hard; they work smart as well.
Well, here's what he told me. He felt like within the next 2 or 3 years, and I'm saying this. I hope Bel Air was in them. I know they're listening to this. They didn't listen to me when I said about businesses matter. We need to grow businesses, Brandon. Mm-hmm. He's planning on taking his company and doubling it in the next 3 years. Wow. He doesn't see how he doesn't get there. Yeah. He's adding people as we speak. Now, I want you to think about that. If every company here, including my little bitty company, could add one employee that is paid well, our economy would boom, okay? Instead of we worried about expanding Medicaid and making it nice for poor people, we ought to make it nice for what? Middle-class people. What did I read earlier in the program? Middle-class people. We are last in a place for middle-class people to live because the taxes are skyrocketing. They can say what they want when they say, well, we don't pay high taxes. Yes, we do. A 10 and 11% sales tax is high. We got income taxes. We got fees. We got the highest insurance rate in the country. We got the second or third highest liability insurance in the country. You start adding up all that stuff, we high.
Well, the thing in Louisiana, it feels like you're getting popped from all different places. Yeah. That's what's so frustrating for people, especially business owners.
And so you're going to our schools. Our schools used to be a bargain. They skyrocketed in tuition. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I'm just telling you, when I look at a guy like Chris, there's a lot of Chris's in the state of Louisiana. I just don't want them to leave. But eventually, the people like that are creative and working their fannies off, they go somewhere else. You can't tell Bel Edwards that. You can't tell Jay Darden that. You can't tell people in the printed press that. They don't want to understand any of that stuff. That's what's frustrating to me. I'm pro-business because I want businesses to do well because that means people will do well. And if people do well, that means we got plenty of money for roads and services. Okay, Brandon, that's how it works. It doesn't work for the last 14 years where our state government grows twice the economy. It doesn't work that way. But Bell Edwards hasn't changed anything. All they do is blame Republicans, just like I talked about earlier with the prison reform. You heard the story, Brandon, because the first time you listened to it, said, man, it breaks your heart to see a woman cry. This guy wants to know what happened.
Well, she lost her son on Mother's Day especially. She's supposed to be being celebrated that day, but she got to mourn.
And another family member got shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if they said that was her daughter or not, but they said another family member got shot. She's mourning because of a policy, and here's what happens in our state. Let's just do something. Let's just do something. Well, just doing something and not doing the right thing sometimes makes it worse. This bill that they passed, they got a lot of good Republicans that voted for this thing because Bell Edwards is great. Well, it's a bipartisan support. Bipartisan support. The tax increases are going to kill our businesses. This reform bill was not smart. I was one of the ones. Landry, Kennedy said this is a bad bill. But you had a lot of good Republicans vote for it. You know, raising taxes, y'all, recidivism, y'all. By the way, by the way, I'm mad about something.
Wow.
Ooh, I'm hot. I went down Highway 90 to see some customers.
Okay.
And I am mad, and I'm taking up for John Paul Couson right now. Absolutely. We got a lawyer trying to steal his slogan of vote John Paul, y'all, raising taxes, y'all. I'm so disappointed. I can't remember what lawyer it was, but he said, this is a comment. You ready for the comment?
I know where you're going, yes.
One call, y'all.
Yeah.
And I'm taking up for John. That is John Paul Couson's calling card. And John Paul, I'm taking up for you. That lawyer should pull that down immediately with one call, y'all. I don't know if Fred heard that. One call, y'all. I promise you, Brandon, when I saw the sign, I bust out laughing. Somebody drove
That's been up a while, by the way.
I know, but I just caught it because I didn't get. I haven't been down there lately.
Yeah.
So when I caught it, I looked over and somebody's on the side of me falling out laughing at me laughing. Yeah. And if they only knew what was going through my mind, I said, they're stealing John Paul Couson's slogan. One call, y'all. And I'm going, holy cow, this is not right. Morris Bart's the guy. Morris Bart is stealing John Paul Couson's slogan. And John Paul, I just want to let you got me in your corner on this one, buddy. You got me in your corner on this one. They cannot steal your slogan. And I'm sorry. I wouldn't use that lawyer right there because see what he does? He stole somebody's calling card. You know, raising taxes, y'all. Vote John Paul, y'all. Vote for recidivism,
I'm not
y'all.
touching that when you're talking about a lawyer, a high-profile lawyer.
The worst he's going to do is sue me. So I just want to make sure that somebody else takes Morris Bart. One call, y'all. I'm just telling you. They cannot take that from a man, John Paul Couson. I'm standing with Couson. He started it. That's his slogan. This lawyer needs to come up with another slogan, John Paul. I am livid that they're trying to steal your thunder, buddy. I just want to let you know that. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. So when you see John Paul, make sure y'all tell him I'm taking up for my brother. All right, Trump's approval number still at 50%. This is killing him. What would be Trump's approval number if it wouldn't 24/7 see how much we can kill Trump, a private investigator, Mueller, who's out of control, and the news organizations seeing how they can beat him up in 100 newspapers all together on one day, going to write 100 negative editorials on Trump, and it's at 50%. What would he be at 60? Just wonder. And then you got Omarosa and Maxine Waters in the black community nutting up, trying to make him out to be a racist. I explained it yesterday. It's not. He's not even close to one. I don't care if the N-word's found or not, does not make you a racist. Poor choice of words, yes, but not a racist. So Trump's at 50%. This is killing him. This has got to be killing him. All right, Brandon, we got a report. This is a Fox report. It's Peter Strzok. Let's see, Brandon.
You said it right, Strzok.
Yeah.
Or as Rush calls him, Peter Strzok, stroke, smirk.
Okay, well, Strzok is a dead duck. Anyway, Peter Strzok, if you didn't hear the rest of the story on this guy, what he's done and what they found on him, you got to hear this. Brandon, I think it's about 3 minutes. And it's a Fox News deal. But I want to play this. Is it about 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, 3:04 or something like that?
3:42.
Okay.
More like 4 minutes.
So I missed it by 36 seconds. All right, Brandon, give me a break, brother. All right, here we go. Listen to this if you hadn't heard this.
Might not surprise you, but there's an anti-Trump Twitter account from fired FBI agent Peter Strzok.
That is shocking. And on it, a GoFundMe page looking to raise $150,000 to cover his legal costs and lost income. Many now wondering, is this for real? Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines, 24/7 Sirius XM 115. Here with the reaction online. It seems like anybody's just starting GoFundMe pages these days.
Well, despite getting fired from the FBI, yesterday may have been a big payday for Peter Strzok because a GoFundMe account set up by a group who listed their name as Friends of Special Agent Peter Strzok has already raised $200,000 in just 16 hours alone. The page says the money will go towards Strzok's growing legal costs and lost income. Now, a Twitter account also under his name posted a link to that GoFundMe page, and they also said this: deeply saddened by this decision. It has been an honor to serve my country and work with the fine men and women of the FBI. Now, President Trump announced the termination on Twitter, saying finally the list of bad players in the FBI and DOJ gets longer and longer. A lot of other folks reacting to the news, of course, on social media as well. Jim says draining the swamp, one corrupt official after another. And Rick on Twitter also saying this: don't use words like honor. Ooh, what you have none. The Peter Strzok Twitter account only posted one tweet so far. It's a letter from his lawyer criticizing his termination.
No matter how you feel about the president, there does seem to be some pretty good cause for that firing. So it's an interesting move by him to create a GoFundMe page. Hey, let's talk about New York's governor.
All right. So, folks, I'm thinking about doing me a GoFundMe page. So this nutted up group raised $200,000 for his legal fees. He had a anti-Trump Twitter account. He's working in the Justice Department. Brandon, how many people? Comey got fired. How many of these people should be going to jail probably for what they did? Including Omarosa. I mean, but they don't do anything to them. They don't. These people in the press, they carried Barack Obama for 8 years. Barack Obama told them that the Earth was flat. Brandon, that's what we'd be writing about today. The Earth was flat. They would. Didn't matter what Obama said or did. And this dude hurt us. He hurt us bad. This Justice Department was all under his Justice Department. It was designed to be corrupt, just like he did with some people at the top of the IRS going after the Tea Party. I mean, this guy took some of our important areas and made them corrupt. Barack Obama. Anyway, this guy, what a nut. His own Twitter account, and his Twitter account was the GoFund page was attached to the Twitter account. Wow, folks. Is it corrupt or what? What a swamp. What a swamp. All right, we got to take a break. Your calls are welcome, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. We'll be right back. For Senator Bill Cassidy to call in. By the way, there's another numbers out. Now, Brandon, I had this and now I can't find it. howmoneywalks.com/IRS tax migration. So pull this chart up. According to this chart, Louisiana from 2092 to 2016, we've lost an annual AGI, which is the adjusted gross income as defined by the IRS. For most people, AGI is a starting point in calculating a taxable income. Okay? We have lost over $8 billion because of our migration. People have left California, New York, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Louisiana. The wealth went to Texas, Florida, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, all southern states. I'm just telling you, folks, the answer to our problems is business. The answer to our problem is business, is businesses booming. That's trying something different than we've ever tried in the history of Louisiana. $8 billion gone. Taxable income. There's a deal on here that keeps changing. Says 992 of adjusted gross income lost in the last 1 minute and 13 seconds. Now it's over $1,000. It's about making the business climate better in Louisiana. And the bottom line is that's not what we're doing. Trump's done it. Of course, our state took it away. Senator Bill Cassidy joins me. Senator Cassidy, how you doing?
Hey, Moon Griffon, I am good, man. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, doing great. All right, first of all, and I've got a lot of topics to cover with you real quick. Flood insurance renewal. What's happening with that? Is it a long-term solution or just a short-term deal?
We'll see. We have a short-term to keep it from lapsing. Some of my colleagues are so frustrated with the lack of reform, they were going to let it lapse just to make a point. I'm like, don't take it out on the guy who's got to have flood insurance to close on his house. That's unfair to him. They bought it, but they're into reform. I'm into reform. So we've got a bill that we're working on, make it more affordable, more accountable to the taxpayer, more sustainable. We're trying to get there. We'll know in the next 4 months. We're renewed right now through hurricane season, peak flood season, and we're going to try and bring it home with a longer-term reform effort.
Well, just curious your thoughts on it. The federal government's pretty much taken over flood insurance. If I'm wrong, correct me on that. But is that the best option for us that the federal government now controls that? I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on it, or is the private sector just can't afford to pay for it anymore? How does that work?
That's where the bugaboo is. Republicans and a couple Democrats want more privatization. There are studies that show that about 60% of policyholders would pay less if we had at least limited privatization. Most Democrats don't want privatization. And so in the bill I have with a Democrat, Kirsten Gillibrand, we're able to bring it to her. She bought into it. She sees it can be good for all. But that is one of the sticking points. And right now we're trying to get to where we have some privatization, but Democrats are okay with it. We need their votes to get it passed, and so we've got to work with them.
Okay. Yeah, because I keep thinking the private sector could do a lot better job because normally they do. And I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on that because I know there's some people trying to keep this in the private sector. I know some people, the problem I guess we have, if you were told you were not in the flood zone, this happened a lot in Louisiana, as you know. So you didn't buy flood insurance and then you got flooded. Well, you kind of got screwed. Now, I know the federal government came up with a program, and I know through the governor's office they came up with a program to try to help people. But I guess that's the big fear. If you don't have it, you get hit, then you're looking for help.
Yeah, totally. And obviously we want people buying flood insurance. But I personally think, as you do, if you get the private sector in there, a little bit of competition makes everybody better.
Well, the thing about it is, my opinion is if you live in Louisiana, you ought to buy flood insurance. Just my opinion. It's not that if you live in what's considered not a flood zone, insurance is really cheap. I mean, I'm not saying it's not your money. I understand that, but it's really cheap.
And what happened for some people in the great floods of 2016 is that they had paid off their mortgage, so they stopped paying for flood insurance, feeling like I don't need to have it anymore. No, you're not buying it for the mortgage. You're buying it for your house.
Well, if you are financially wealthy enough to know that if something happens to my house, I can rebuild it or rebuild part of it, I got the cash. I understand that. That's probably not the norm, though.
Totally. And one thing we had to convince my colleagues of who wanted to let it lapse, this is not a rich man's insurance policy. You cap out at $250,000. This is a middle-class, working families policy that helps most Americans, but really it's only a fraction of what the fellow with the big home has. So if you've got a house, unless you're 28 feet above sea level, you should have flood insurance.
Senator Bill Cassidy, my special guest. All right. I did talk to your Senate sidekick, Kennedy, a week or two ago. Matt Kavanaugh looks like a sure pick, a good pick for Supreme Court. I know you met with him. What do you think?
He's fantastic. He said he went to a high school. The motto of the high school was meant for others. He's lived his life meant for others. Drives the left crazy. Although I will say, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the liberal Supreme Court justice, basically says to the left, vote for him. He's qualified. He's a good jurist. We need him on the bench. Overlook partisan differences. He's that good. I'm hoping they listen to her.
Well, my question is, why wouldn't they have the votes? There's got to be 3 or 4 or 5 Democrats that's going to vote for him, even if you have a Republican that bails out. I know McCain is sick and he may not get the vote, so you basically got 50 votes. 50-50 still would win because you got the vice president would vote. But my question to you, is there any Republicans saying they're not going to vote for him?
Well, Murkowski and Collins are the ones that people speak of, but both voted for him before for the D.C. Circuit Court. So they have previously voted for him. Now, the Democrats, McConnell's going to have the vote before the midterms. There are states out there where Donald Trump is incredibly popular, in which a Democratic senator is running for re-election. Mm-hmm. And that senator will have to choose between voting the party line with Chuck Schumer from New York or voting for the people of their state who like Trump and like his appointment in Brett Kavanaugh. So we're going to have that election, that vote, before November the 6th, ideally in October, but if not, it'll be November the 5th.
Well, they said that if you look at it, what it's been said, I don't know if it was McConnell, but they're going to start the hearings and stuff around the 1st of September. I mean, that normally lasts a week. And if that's the case, why not take the vote immediately? I'm just asking, why not? Don't let it go any further. Have the hearings. Boom, let's have the vote.
I think the hearings will go a little bit longer. There is, I think I'm told that Brett Kavanaugh, he loves to write. He's got 1 million pages of documents.
Yeah, but hold up, though, Senator. You know as well as me, it don't matter if he had 1 paper or 1 million. They were voting against him because Trump nominated him. It didn't matter. They could have nominated you, me, Brandon, anybody Trump would have nominated, with the exception of maybe Pelosi and Obama. They didn't care. It doesn't matter how much he's written. They're going to bomb him anyway.
I get that. In fact, McConnell makes the point. You want all these documents, and all these people that want these documents have already announced they're voting against them.
That's what I'm saying. So my question is, go to McConnell and say, look, have the hearings. If it lasts a week, 10 days, whatever, vote the next day. I mean, I really would. I would boom, because they're not going to be fair. The press is not going to be fair. But once, why don't we just step up and say, fine, y'all want to play hardball? We're going to have the hearings just like you want the day after we're voting for him and get it over with and be done with it.
I actually think it helps us to bring it closer to the election. For all these Democrats who swear they support Donald Trump, well, let's see if they do support Donald Trump. And it puts a little bit of a squeeze on them. And our base understands the importance of the Supreme Court, and they go out and vote when a Supreme Court position is at stake. Probably politically, it helps us a little bit to push it closer.
Well, but you got to be a little careful because Mueller's witch hunt is still out there. There's no telling what he comes up with. And later to the election, whether it's true or not, the perception is going to be something negative. And I thought get the vote over with and be done with it. That's just me. I'd rather it be sooner than later. I understand what you're saying, but I would rather be sooner or later because I don't trust what's going on in Washington right now.
And we're seeing each other's point. I get where you're coming from, but McConnell would love to pick up 3 to 5 seats currently held by Democrats in states that Trump won big time, and that's going to be West Virginia, Missouri, Montana, Indiana, North Dakota.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court nominee is going to play a big role in those elections.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, that's good. I think they're going to pick up 3 to 5 as well. I think that's going to be a number. And I think the House is going to hold a lot more than people think. All right, Senator Bill Cassidy, my special guest, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you want to ask him a question. By the way, I had a person wanted to ask you this question, Bill. They said, if Trump was to fire Sessions, would you vote to remove the president? I don't think you would, and I don't think that's going to happen, but just they told me to ask you this, so I said, hell, I'll ask him.
No, that is not an impeachable crime, and so of course you wouldn't. I think the issue is, though, if you fire Sessions, Rosenstein then becomes the Attorney General. And
that ain't good at all.
That ain't good at all. So you got to play it out a couple of moves down. But that's not an impeachable crime. He is the president. He can make a decision like that. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's not worried about anything, to be honest with you. I agree with you. In fact, somebody said that when he fired Comey, he's the first president in the world who fired the guy that was about to clear his name. So So I think the president's going to come out of this okay, but it'll be a little bit of a ride for a little bit longer.
You know, people brought this up about you before, and I've asked the question. I know you voted for budget packages, but we're having record collections in taxes now, especially on income taxes. You think there's ever going to be a time where we really decrease spending and cut some spending? Because I'm not saying y'all ain't trying to do some of that, but it's not big because we keep growing the budget and growing the debt.
Well, if you look since the American people elected, first I voted against the last spending bill. It was a 2,000-page monstrosity given to us. We had 24 hours to read it.
Okay.
I'm not about to vote for that. But that said, if you look since the American people, led by the Tea Party, elected a Republican House, and I was in the House at that time, the so-called discretionary spending, the spending that Congress has control over, has remained relatively flat. We had a bump up this past year, but it had fallen significantly, and so now it's kind of on the same plane where it was in 2010. Where the spending's coming is from Medicare, Social Security, Obamacare, Medicaid, interest on the debt. That's stuff that goes out the door without a congressional vote. And that's because 10,000 baby boomers a day become eligible for Medicare and Social Security. I'm working on that, trying to make those programs solvent, stronger, there for the people who have been promised benefits, but also in a way that our debt and deficit is contained as well.
Yeah, let's take one quick call. Dwayne, you got to be quick, though. Dwayne, North Louisiana, question or comment for Senator Bill Cassidy. Go.
How you doing, Senator Cassidy? I'm in North Dakota working because I can't get good work in Louisiana anymore thanks to everything that's happened with the oil field. But here's my point to you. Why is Bob Mueller investigation still going? Why isn't him and Peter Strzok and Orr and all the rest of them up on charges to be investigating? And how is the special counsel allowed to coerce witnesses by choosing them flying to FBI and throwing them in jail, and they let Hillary walk off? Why aren't we putting more pressure on this?
By the way, Bill, Dwayne, just hang up and listen to him. And Bill, he's got a good question. That's the people that like Trump, the people that like our country going in a different direction. We're all frustrated because never on Hillary. Obama's Justice Department misused so much. Mueller was able to do a probe and go any way he wants to. You see why we're frustrated, and that's what the guy's asking.
Totally, but the only guy that can fire Mueller is Donald J. Trump, and so and Trump's just making the political calculus that it would hurt him more to fire him than to keep him in place. There is a lot of concern this investigation has gone way beyond the bounds originally charged, and you can look at the judge in the Paul Manafort case. He's also calling out Mueller.
Sure did.
The only person to fire Mueller is Trump.
But if he does that, then everybody. Well, of course, the press is going to say if they don't fire him or they do fire him, they're going to say the president colluded. So it didn't matter. But there's no collusion. That's what's so frustrating us. It seems like the bad guys get away with everything, and the good guys don't get away with anything because there's nothing to get away with. They just make up stuff. And hey, by the way, there was a big bill the president signed dealing with the military, and I'm taking it that's going to help our military people in here in the state of Louisiana, military bases and things of that nature.
Totally. We've never been at greater, no, I can't say that, but we are at greater risk around the world than we have been in some time. And the military under the Obama administration had just suffered. And so now we increase funding. Members of the military, those who've enlisted, volunteered, et cetera, it will be get a pay raise. That's important. We need to keep good people. There's a lot of competition for those folks, but just need to support them. But we're also getting support for Barksdale, for Fort Polk, and for Bell State. That's important for us here in Louisiana.
I'm glad that they got some pay raises. I just hope the governor down here doesn't take them. We got our Trump pay raise, and the governor and the legislature said, "Oh, we'll take that," and they did. $356 million worth of tax breaks, just whoop right to the state. That was. Well, I hope it's not going to take the military ones too.
Well, if you're in the military, you can declare your place of residence any state in the union. I suspect they're all saying they're from Las Vegas or from Florida or someplace else without an income tax.
Well, they better if they want to keep any of it, because the trolls down there are trying to get as much as we can, no doubt about it. Well, by the way, I just saw something on Fox, decline in illegals crossing the border. And they relating it directly to Trump's policies. What do you say about that?
Totally. Trump has strengthened enforcing of our southern border. And despite what the left has been trying to do, he has actually been able to do that. That's important, not just for illegal immigration. It's for human trafficking, for drug smuggling. Got a huge opioid issue. A lot of that comes across the southern border. So the president's efforts can pay dividends in multiple areas, and illegal immigration is one of them.
You think they will ever literally build the wall like he wants?
So the president has been very forthright. If we speak about the DACA children, the folks that came across because their parents brought them when they were babies, the president has said, I would wish they go home. But I'm going to let them stay. I'm going to let twice as many stay as Obama was going to. And I'm going to give them a pathway to citizenship. But I want to secure our southern border. You give me that, and I'll give you give me security at the southern border, I'll give you a deal on the DACA kids. The president's been very reasonable. So far, the left is turning it down. The DACA kids actually like it. I'm hoping the president can bring that home.
Bill, last thing, can you give us any insight of what may end up happening with the Mueller case for the president? To me, it doesn't look bad for the president at all. And to me, the Russian collusion with the president to steal an election is not even what they're going after now. They're just trying to find anything. So can you tell us deep down in the heart of D.C., in the deep state, what do you think comes out of all this when it's said and done?
I think Manafort gets hit for, I think a lot of people get hit who are doing some stuff which was not good, but I don't think the president gets tagged for collusion. And so Michael Cohen goes down for, Michael Cohen's just a swarmy guy. Paul Manafort goes down for tax evasion. But none of that touches the president. Stormy Daniels and the president, believe me, the Department of Justice has lost cases like that before with Edwards, John Edwards, the guy out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I think the collusion goes away.
I think it goes away, too. All right. Senator Bill Cassidy, we'll do again later. God bless. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
All right. That's it. Hump day already tomorrow, Brandon. You can always smile, buddy. We get through tomorrow. Then we can get towards your favorite day.
Absolutely.
Friday, payday on a Friday.
Oh, yeah. Almost as good as vacation on a Friday.
I agree with that. I don't know what's better. I like Mondays myself. All right, we'll take a break. Be right back. 22 hours. All you liberals, hold your breath. We'll be back.